Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Pursuant to MGL 7C 38, section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the town of Great Barrington and CTSB. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listings of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So first we'll do a roll call vote because we have one member here virtually. So let's. Bill? Here. Ben?
Here.
Garfield?
Here.
Eric? Here. And present. So I'm gonna call to order the Select Board and Fire District Prudential Committee joint meeting. The tax classification hearing to determine FY 26 property tax and tax rates for the town of Great Barrington and the Great Barrington Fire District. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
So a motion and a second, roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I. Mr. Chairman?
Prudential committee, we call the meeting to order. Roll call. Bill? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. We only had three here out of the five.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to give a little overview, Emily? Introduce yourselves?
Yes.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Emily Schilling. I'm the new assessor for the town of Great Barrington, and I'm here tonight to present the tax classification outfit. Okay. Okay, state law requires that a comprehensive review of all properties be assessed annually and recertified by the DOR every 5 years. Municipalities are responsible for developing a reasonable and realistic program to achieve the fair cash valuation of all properties. This program includes a review and analysis of existing property values and verification of existing property record information. All properties are revalued in accordance with law and DOR guidelines. For fiscal year 2026, the date of assessment is January 1st, 2025. Assessments are reflective of calendar year 2024 sales, income and expense forms, and forms of list. This is the town's 4 classes and the total values to the town. The town of Great Barrington has a total value of $2,309,091,365. The residential class makes up 84% of Great Barrington's total value, and commercial, industrial, and personal property class, or CIP, makes up 16% of Great Barrington's total value. As you can see, residential is up $124.9 million, commercial is up $7.8 million, industrial is up $1.5 million, and personal property has decreased due to Mina Paper LLC closing. This business was worth $3.8 million. In Great Barrington, we have 391 second homes, which adds $8.6 million to the personal property class. It contributes $113,594 in personal property tax. This slide shows a comparison of new growth from FY 25 to FY 26. For FY 26, we have $20,467,760 in new growth, which is down $524,400 from last year. Now we will calculate the FY 26 levy limit. We are going to start by taking FY 25's levy limit of 28.7. Yeah, 28,751,976 and adding 2.5% of the levy limit, which is 718,549. And adding levy for new growth, 282,251, which gives us a total of 29,742,776. Now we're gonna add debt exclusions of 1,246,461 and capital expenditure exclusions of 81,400. This now gives us our maximum allowable levy of 31,070,637. Thank you. The tax recap is going to show the total amount to be raised of 45.8 million minus the total estimated receipts and other revenue sources of 15.2 million, which gives us a tax levy of 30,572,370. Next slide. When we take our maximum allowable levy of 31,070,637 and minus tax levy of 30,572,370, we get our excess levy capacity of 498,267, which is up 480,000 from last year's 18,143. This is a much better excess levy capacity than we anticipated during budget season. We still have a ways to go to return to historical standards. The 5-year average prior to FY 25 was 1.5 million. The importance of maintaining a healthy cushion of excess levy capacity is due to provide financial stability and flexibility, as well as demonstrate strong fiscal management, which will enhance our bond rating. Next slide. Using the tax levy of 30,572,370 and dividing it by the town's total value of 2.3 billion and multiplying it by 1,000 gives us a single tax rate of 13.24. This is down 55 cents from last year's tax rate of 13.79. Historically, the Select Board and Finance Committee have endorsed the single tax rate option. Voting a residential factor of 1 affirms a single tax rate. If the Select Board was to vote a residential factor of less than 1, it could generate a split tax rate of residential being $11.95 and CIP being $19.86. The Board of Assessors strongly recommends we do not split the tax rate, as it will shift a large burden to the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes, which again is only 16% of the total value to Great Barrington. Having a single tax rate is desirable for new businesses, investors, and it can promote economic development. This slide shows what the tax rates will do to the median and average single-family home in commercial property. The median single-family home with a value of $511,950 with a tax rate of 13.24 will have a tax bill of $6,778.22. This is up $142.47 from last year. The average single-family home with a value of $637,735, tax rate 13.24, will see a tax bill of $8,443.61. This is up $170.42 from last year. The median commercial property with a value of $471,700 with a tax rate of 13.24 will see a tax bill of $7,469.31. This is down $11.06 from last year. The average commercial property with a value of $921,390, tax rate 13.24, will see a tax bill of $12,199.20. This is also down from last year by $2.51. Below gives us a what-if scenario of a split tax rate. Here I use both FY 26 median and average values for residential and commercial. Residential would have a decrease of $660.42. However, commercial would have an increase of $3,784.65 to their tax bill. That's for the median. The median value. For the average value for residential, would see a decrease of $820.60. But commercial would see an increase of $6,099.60. Again, the Board of Assessors strongly recommends the single tax rate, as we do not want to deter commercial growth. Slide 11 calculates the tax rate for the fire district. The total amount to be raised is $2,964,008 minus the total estimated receipts and other revenues of $1,150,743. This gives us a tax levy of $1,813,265. If we take that and divide by the total value of the fire district properties of $1,200,837,489 times 1,000, you get a tax rate of 151, which is 1 cent more than last year's 150. Lastly, the Board of Assessors recommends a single tax rate, 13.4 for the town of Great Barrington, and a tax rate of 151 for the fire district. This will be a residential factor of 1. Thank you.
Thank you. So any public comments or questions? Yes. Seeing none online and none here, questions from the Select Board and Prudential Committee?
Yeah, just looking at I think page 4, the second home slide,
Yeah,
that total value of $8,579,000, is that just referring only to personal property tax, personal property?
yes, that's what it contributes to the personal property value.
Right, so that's just the personal property value associated with the second home.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm curious as to why, well, I'd like to talk a little bit about the residential tax system and how it would be helpful, I think, to some people that aren't making, have a home as expensive as others. People, an example, if you pay $700,000 for your home, someone else paid $400,000, they're gonna pay less than the person that paid $700,000. The reason why I suggested thinking about it is because, especially with the tax of the school passing, which was great for the town, great for all the young people. And coming up, it's gonna cost others that are having a hard time already more money. And if you're in a lesser valued home, it's gonna cost you less money and be less of a burden on
When you're talking about the residential exemption,
you.
okay, one, we only have 391 second homes. So I'm not sure that we have a big enough of a second home to sustain the difference. What you also need to remember is that the tax rate, the residential tax rate will increase by adopting that. And not everyone in Great Barrington will qualify. Multi-families do not qualify, rental properties don't qualify. So you're talking, you have 2,202 single family homes. We would have to do a pretty big analysis to determine who would qualify. And again, the tax rate would go up and there's no guarantee there would be a big number that would qualify. And I don't think you have a big enough number to take up the burden of the difference.
A big enough number, really big enough number, second home, anything?
Yes, you need a lot of second homes to sustain the burden to give the tax break to the residents. And I'm not sure that I don't believe, is what I'm gonna say, I don't believe we have, that number's not big enough to sustain that burden.
But I'm sorry, just factoring in if there was essentially, hi, over here. If there was a break, right, between kind of what Garfield was saying, if there was essentially both the second homeowners as well as houses valued above a certain point being on the other side. Is that still doesn't quite math out for you?
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
So just it's my understanding that it's second homeowners, but it's also kind of defining a formula that would say if your house is assessed above a certain value, you shift one way, and if you're assessed below the break point, then you shift the other way. Is that not part of the formula?
Yes and no. So they receive a tax break to the value, but the residential tax rate would go up. It goes up, and then they receive the break on the
Right.
value. That's what brings the taxes down. So I guess
Right.
I'm not really sure which.
But is that not helpful then? I mean, if it's a bringing tax.
You have to have enough of the second homes to sustain the burden.
If you're not
of the
sure of
difference.
that. but-
No, I'm not sure of that. We would need to do a bigger analysis to determine who would qualify.
Is that-
My recommendation would be to not adopt that this year. And maybe let us do an analysis to determine how many people would qualify. There's a lot of factors that go into that and a lot of departments that are involved. Clerks would have to be involved because we'd have to sustain a list. We have to see if they're registered to vote here. Do they have motor vehicle here? They have to be full-time residents of Great Barrington. They can't own multiple homes. So somebody who, might live in Great Barrington, but if they own 3 homes, they don't qualify. And those are things we would have to look at.
And-
It's a big analysis that would need to be done.
Times we have to do analysis, and I think probably most of this town would probably benefit, I think. More than not, and if it went up a little bit, excuse me, you're probably still gonna be paying less. Than you would otherwise if we did the single payer.
Depending on what the percentage was adopted.
Well, we've
Again,
been shooting
a
this
big
down for
analysis
years.
would need to be done.
Okay, I wouldn't mind, I would love to see it done, but anything I can do to help, because we've been asking for this, I know I've been on the board 5 years, and every year. We bring it up, it gets shot down.
So the question is, you want us to do it, we're not setting that rate tonight.
Right,
We're setting a different rate tonight. But if you would like us to authorize her to do a study to see if next year that's something we're interested in, that would be
that
possible.
would be lovely.
Okay,
Is everyone in favor of that?
I am,
Well,
yeah.
just briefly, I thank you for the presentation. I think it was very well done.
you're welcome.
And, I'll just note that you're relatively new, we have a relatively new town manager, so you're probably not aware of what Garfield was referring to, which we've had periodic discussions of implementing the residential exemption in town over as long as, roughly the 5 years that I was been involved. And, I totally agree with you that it is a very complex assessment to figure out exactly how it will help people and how much it will help people and who it will help. And we've only gotten, I would say, sort of brief versions of that, and it suggested it really wasn't as, let me be careful, it wasn't viewed as being as much of a dramatic improvement or a dramatic amount of help for people who we intended to help as we may have expected because of the reasons that you've highlighted. That being said, I certainly agree that now that you're in the assessor department, running the assessor's department, it would be terrific if you could do, the study so we get a better handle on sort of the pros and cons of the residential exemption in full detail. But it is a lot of work.
It is, it's
Yeah,
hard
so-
to do the
So
analysis itself also.
I'm,
I suspect we'll see it in the budget this year.
Right,
Because
so-
it's more work than Emily's gonna handle on her own. I think
right,
this is the third assessor we've talked to about, all have had the same
Right.
feeling. If we authorize it to do it, it's gonna cost money. We're
Right,
gonna
so
have to hire people. to
yeah,
help.
so I would rather not just sort of say, hey, fire away on the study, just, it should, the town manager, I think, should have the ability to sort of factor that into the overall workflow,
I agree,
work demands,
Mhm.
and the bus process, et cetera.
but I don't wanna shoot it down.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
If I may.
Yeah.
One of the options is looking at, when the priorities are on, when you come up to the priorities on the agenda tonight, that there is a section actually about the workforce housing. And that might be an appropriate bullet point to add in there that it is a priority for staff to examine, a revised look at the residential tax exemption. I know that back in 22, Mark, the previous town manager, had presented. And there was some discussion at the board meeting about that, so we can look at updating that on the current number of who would be included versus exempt from that.
And it's also a little more complicated in that the possibility of the seasonal communities designation, that would give us additional flexibility to make a larger amount of changes to our system, if
Correct.
that were in fact put in place. That's all hypothetical right now.
That's correct.
But I would like again to urge that you do the study, I know it's a lot of work. But there is the increase with the taxes from the school and our people. I mean, I just heard one person, but he came in to where I worked and he said, Pat, I gotta move. They just raised taxes, I can't afford it. But there's a lot of that.
So
That could
that's
be
something
helpful.
else, I would be happy to bring up here. We do have exemptions in our office. We have 2 senior exemptions, we have a veteran exemption, we have a blind exemption. You know, they can come in, they do have to qualify income and asset wise, they have to be over 65. But there are other options outside of that that could help them with the tax, you know, with the tax burden.
So as Phil brought up, we're not changing it tonight, and we're not gonna, we're all in favor of doing a study. Me, because we talked about it about 6 years in a row, and let's just either put it to bed or adopt it. But none of this is gonna be done until after the budget, because it's gonna be extra money involved. So this is like step 1. Step 2 is bringing it to the finance committee and select board. Step 3 is bringing it to town meeting, and then if it's all authorized, we'll do that study. Because it's not gonna be Emily just doing it on her own. This is much more in depth than that.
When you, just for clarification, when you say bring it to town meeting, you mean like the cost of?
The cost, correct,
Yes.
okay, cost. We get to make the choice, but the cost of the study would go to town meeting.
Or town meeting, okay.
And sorry, one
Yeah.
last point, is that I think it would be great if, again, and as you've gotten up to speed, and you obviously have, you know, we have a lot of abatement programs, as you mentioned, that
Yeah.
provide a small amount of assistance to certain individuals, and it would be great if we could. My sense is those are underutilized, and that people are not fully aware of them. One example is in the past, we spent a lot of time on a property tax deferral program, which we now have in place. I happened to check the state website, and if that's correct, we have 1 resident there
Yes.
that's using it.
But, yeah, but
Yeah.
what I want people to understand with the deferral is everything you defer has to be paid back with interest.
Absolutely, absolutely, but it's just that we spent a lot of time to try to make that available and to figure out how it should be set up. And for whatever reason, it's just not being utilized, and maybe that's something.
I think because people, again, they don't, you know. The worry is still there, like, oh, that has to be
Right.
paid back, and it adds up every year.
Oh, yeah.
And then if it's, you know, if the homeowner passes away. If it's not paid back within a year, then that interest rate jumps up to 16%. So that's a lot to think about, you know, it's not a loan, it's a big tax that has to be paid back if the household or if the homeowner passes away. And then if they pass away, it falls on next of kin or surviving spouse, or, you know, and I'm not a huge fan of that program. I prefer the senior exemptions. They give you the exemption, it goes towards your taxes, you don't have to worry about paying it back. You
Huh?
just have to
Oh,
qualify.
point well taken, that's what we're
Yeah.
so moving on.
Which we
Well,
can do enough or more outreach on those available programs so people can utilize it and be educated on what's.
Great,
Yeah,
So we can take a look, like your priorities of say that we need to look at the website and constantly keep it moving and fluid, with up-to-date information. That is something that we can work together on and ensure that's accessible.
That's great.
Thank you.
Just one other thing, a couple of things. One is, I think, and I'll just say this, sometimes, yes, it has to be paid back. But if you can't even pay it now, then you don't have a home and it's a hardship. So sometimes looking down the road, always isn't the best idea, but if you don't have the money to make your payments, then it's a good idea. But are we allowed to speak of the amount, I mean, because you did mention the senior tax.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We have a different, the select board sets the rate. But we have a 5% rate, is that correct?
Yep.
Right, and I think you said 8, and 8 is not correct, it's 5%.
oh yes, you guys adopted, I have that here, you adopted
Okay.
5 and you also adopted the higher income. Yes,
Right.
and the lower
Okay.
interest rate, but if they pass away, that 5 no longer stands, if it's not paid within a timely manner, it jumps up,
yeah, and that's a state law, we can't change that.
yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
You're-
Okay. Nothing for the prudential?
No.
Okay, so motion to close the public hearing,
So moved.
second,
Second,
roll call vote, Matt,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Garfield,
aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I.
Motion to close the public hearing. Roll call, Ken? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion from either the select board or the prudential committee? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve a single tax rate for FY 26 of 13.24.
Perfect. Do I have a second? Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion from the select board? Roll call vote, Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
I requested this, I guess.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Prudential.
Yes. I have a motion to $1.51 tax rate for students this week.
I make a motion for $1.51 tax rate. Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, Ken?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Bill?
Thank you very much. Motion to join the joint meeting.
So move.
Second. Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield. Aye. Eric.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous.
Adjourn?
Second.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay. Select board's announcement statement, Ben, I'll start with you so I don't forget.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to, I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks since school vote, but just want to thank everyone who came out on November 4th for the vote. It was so great to see the numbers of people who showed up for the vote and to see it pass by such margins. I think it's a great sign for the future of our town. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Bill.
Nothing technical.
Garfield.
I'd like to kind of echo what Ben said. I think it's great for the town, great for the young folks. And I'm glad we have a vocational program there because if anybody's paid attention, they've been losing jobs left and right in the business sector. AOL, people have been laying people off that are in business. So you might be better off being a plumber or an electrician, an auto mechanic. I don't see AI changing out your toilet, so. You might be better off.
Thanks, you, Eric.
Yeah, so just wanted to remind everybody that the winter markets start at the Hoosie Dome this coming Saturday from 10 to 1. Always a good time and you can see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. And then also just want to state that I'll be recusing myself from number 4.
Okay, fine. I have nothing, so town manager's report.
Thank you. We're gonna do a little differently this time. We're gonna try something new out. I'm gonna read a report and if you want to pull anything out, we can put it on and learn more about it. We can have it on a future discussion. But it's really more the same thing, more of announcements and things. If there is usually an item that should be on for discussion purposes, it would actually be under new or form or previous agenda items. So Steve and I are gonna see how this goes with your feedback. And this report also for the public will be available, posted on the town manager's page starting tomorrow. So people will have record of the announcements that I make in public. Okay, so that being said, so in addition to my recent arrival as town manager, several additional hires have officially joined the team of Great Barrington. I'm pleased to welcome Dina Gilbert as HR Director and Kate Van Ulst as Conservation Agent. And also welcome back Tate Coleman as Director of Public Transportation. These positions provide very different but critical functions within the municipality and the region, both internally and externally, and I'm very excited to have them part of our team. I would also like to remind the community that next week, town buildings will be closed on Thursday, November 27th to celebrate Thanksgiving and will resume normal hours on Friday, the 28th. Any departments experiencing staffing shortage on Friday necessitating an office closure will post notice on their webpage by Tuesday, November 25th. They will post signage on their physical public facing spaces and have out of office replies on the emails notifying of their return date. I encourage members of the public to look on the website for information specific to the needed service so they can get it when they need to. It is licensing renewal season for most, if not all, business licenses issued by the Select Board and the Board of Health. 2025 licenses expire at 11:59 p.m. on December 31st. So I encourage all businesses to make sure they have submitted their annual paperwork and completed inspections sooner rather than later to ensure transition from 25 to 26 is seamless for their operation and allows town staff the proper time to assist. With the holiday season approaching, I want to remind the community there are a number of town departments and buildings that accept donations, including the health department, who has been working with the Berkshire Diaper Program to host a diaper donation bin located on the first floor of Town Hall. The PD at the station provides a year-round, 24 hours a day drop-off for toys, clothing, and food, in addition to their participation of Toys for Tots this year. The Mason Library has begun collecting shelf-stable food and hygiene products for People's Pantry and will be collecting at least through the end of the calendar year. Donations can be dropped off anytime during normal business hours, and these bins are near the Dresser Ave and Main Street entrances. As well as the transfer station and DPW highway building provides a flag collection drop-off for any tattered ones. Grant updates. I would like to congratulate PD, the Police Department's Executive Assistant, Kara Becker, for obtaining a $25,000 grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security to assist with strengthening several key initiatives such as traffic safety enforcement, pedestrian safety operations, bicycle and e-mobility safety education, and public awareness campaigns. Residents can follow the department's Facebook page, Instagram, and the town's website for updates on the upcoming safety programs and enforcement efforts. As a reminder to all residents and business owners that as of November 15th, the winter parking ban is now in effect until April 1st, between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. for all town roads. Violations may result in fines and towings of the vehicle at owner's expense for impeding snow removal. 2 electronic message boards have been placed around town to help remind drivers of the ban. In addition to the winter parking ban, all businesses should also remove their items from the town sidewalks, such as chairs, tables, and signage. A separate from the parking ban, as in years past, Seacon Cross Road will be closing for the winter to protect the road's integrity, starting next week until roughly June, depending on weather conditions. DPW has been actively working with MBI, Spectrum, and Verizon to transfer and elevate low-hanging wires on Blue Hill Road. I'm happy to report that as of last week, MBI has completed their work of moving their fiber. Verizon has completed a temporary correction, and Spectrum is queued up for their portion of work to be completed later this week, creating a near 100% completion of this issue being achieved prior to the official start of winter. I would like to thank DPW for their ongoing efforts to manage and coordinate the project to completion. Mass DOT will be holding a 25% design public hearing for the superstructure replacement project of bridge number G11-014, which spans state routes US 7 and 23 over Housatonic River. This meeting will be held on this Wednesday, November 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the fire station. For more information, please visit mass.gov/orgs/highway-division/events. And again, this report will be online tomorrow morning where you can get that link immediately. And lastly, Housatonic water updates. I met with Donna Jacobs and Art Blumenthal of Housatonic Filtration Initiative to discuss collaborative opportunities to help Great Barrington property owners who were also water customers. Access available information and financial resources, including the state issued ARPA funds awarded to the town in 24. Aim to provide customers financial relief with the installation of water filtration systems. To date, approximately 170,000 of the original 250 remaining funding remains unspent, and the availability of those dedicated state ARPA funds is set to expire by November of next year. A recommendation will be presented to the select board for your discussion and consideration at your December 1st meeting, and this will be in conjunction with Donna and Art, part of the decision making. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing. Petition for National Grid and Verizon to install one joint ownership. And Eric refusing himself pole on East Street, beginning approximately 50 feet north, the center line of the intersection of Park Street. Proposed installation is necessary to replace existing overhead infrastructure that is currently attached to a tree. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
And I. We have Vincent here to explain. There you are. How are you? I didn't make you wait as long as I made you wait other times.
I'm Steve from National Grid. Nice to see everybody. Is anybody in the audience here for me tonight? All right, so I'll keep this brief. So we at National Grid are requesting to install a new pole 16-2 within the public right of way. Just as the blurb that Steve mentioned earlier is that our wire is currently affixed to a tree by a screwdriver, and we don't like that. So we are requesting to install a new pole so that we can have everything in the air properly. I'm here to answer any questions from anyone regarding that. I have visuals if anybody wants it.
So do we have any public comments? Any questions from the select board?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is a great idea.
See no questions from the select board. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Roll call. Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
And I. Any select board discussion? We're gonna end up getting you out of here fast. Do I have a motion?
Motion to close the public hearing.
No, motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the telephone pole
Yep.
at the street. The East Street, the beginning of approximately 80, that's right, 50
Yep.
feet north of the center line of intersection of Park Street. Proposed installation is necessary to replace existing overhead infrastructure, and that is currently attached to a tree.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Take care.
Really gonna finally said, I want to.
Actually, I didn't intend that, but it will make it even more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, licenses and permits. Application for a temporary entertainment license and temporary peddlers and vendors license. Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce for their holiday stroll downtown Great Barrington from the Mason Library to St. James Place, Saturday, December 13th, 2025. From 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That's it.
Yeah,
I see- yeah, I did see that's it.
And
Yes,
just a quick
yeah.
note, I'm gonna recuse myself because I'm on the board of the SBCC. So I'm gonna turn off my
Okay,
camera.
perfect. Perfect. Betsy, just give us an overview. It's free publicity.
I'm kind of bummed. I thought all these people were here. But I was excited. I was like,
They thought the school was tonight.
Right. Well, it is a great evening for all of our whole entire community. So roughly, we have 30 activities, as we've said for 15 years. Every activity is free. Thank God for our sponsors who make it so that there's, we eliminate a barrier for our families that want to come and just have a great evening. It goes everywhere from story hour to visit with Santa, to hay rides, to ice sculpting, to family movies, you name it, it's happening, balloon characters and everything. In the past, we've tried to calculate the number of people that come and enjoy it, we're saying roughly 3,000 to 4,000. And we made the event so long now, very large oval, that we keep people moving, it never feels overwhelming, it never is a long line, except for Santa, sorry. It seems to run smoothly, so, as always, we appreciate the town's help, you guys help us in every possible way. The DPW helps us, the police help us, the fire department helps us. You know, it's just a fabulous evening for the community.
Thank you, Nancy. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve a temporary entertainment license and temporary hawkers, peddlers and vendors license to the Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce for their holiday stroll in downtown Great Barrington from Mason Library to St. James Place. Saturday, December 13th, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Always look forward to it. Roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Darcy?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I, unanimous. Good luck to you. May the weather be good.
Yes.
Yeah, but.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Can you close the door, Betsy, anyway?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Okay, next is a review, a special permit application, and it's a recommendation from the select board to the planning board from the LSE Sphinx LLC for commercial scale ground mount solar energy facility in an R2 zone at 53 Van Duzenville Road. Let's see, someone here to present this.
Somebody in line?
What do you see, Chris?
I was expecting Mike Tiglio.
I don't see him. So we will skip over this, may or may not come back to it, depending whether the meeting's over or not. We still have time to do it at our next meeting. So if we're not here, we're not gonna take it up.
It's probably my fault, but I told him it was at 6.
So we'll take it up at 6. We won't be done by then, I'll guarantee you. Okay, next is the priority planning discussion. Review and possible vote on updated priority list.
Did include in your, in the supplement packet for today, that's posted today, but I sent it to you. Is a draft of the priorities and from your discussion on the 3rd, 2 weeks ago, so. I took copious notes and then I also watched the video to make sure my notes were on point and where I kind of, where your discussion led, so. This is up to you on if there is anything additional, or if you want to change, this is an opportunity. My, request is that if you need more time, that's fine, I just would like to have this approved. By the 15th of December, so staff can appropriately plan, we can all plan for budgets and everything and our timelines and incorporating it.
Comments, questions?
Yeah, I guess, I had for one, this draft version of it.
Yeah.
I do like this new layout and form that we're working on. I find it, very, very helpful and it makes sense on targeting progress and charting it. So, very happy with the layout. I do request maybe that we have a little more time to go through it. And also speaking to what Garfield was talking about earlier, I know we wanna possibly add that into here to see what goes on, but I'm excited about this new layout. I do agree with you on how it will be easier to track what's getting completed and what needs more work, and it just seems a lot more thorough. So I do appreciate this layout. from reading this version of it, I mean, I'm pretty. I'm happy with the way it looks and what's on there, but,
This is, I'm sorry, this is also just the beginning of it. This is
Yeah.
basically the cover of it. I had mentioned at the meeting 2 weeks ago, there is going to be actually a project cover sheet and timeline assigned to each one of these. So once this is actually determined, then I will begin working with staff to create additional layers to this, so it becomes a real document that will then be put online for people to monitor the progress for each project and the estimated time. So there is gonna be a lot more pages and involvement, but it'll be, again, organized in a way that people can access it very easily, understand it, digest it, ask questions, and watch the progress being made.
Well, I went back and checked the last version of it and my markup of the comments, and he did a very good job of incorporating, I think, what was discussed, so I appreciate that. And again, I agree with what you just said, and that every time I go through this, it really, it's sort of just the tip of the iceberg on a lot of these fairly complex issues, like, just pulling one randomly Cook's Garage property. You know, that's been on our list for quite a while, and there's a lot of things to figure out there, but, so I think you did a great job.
Do we want to accept this tonight with the changes that we previously discussed? So it's off of the table, or do we want to put it on the first or 15th agenda?
They do not have to more time.
yeah, I mean, I think if, the board doesn't mind if we did it on the first agenda. Just so we can all, or I know I want some more time to review it.
Okay, because I heard you say that, but then I heard you say it was terrific, so
Yeah.
I went with the terrific.
I can amend the location of where I believe that it could fit in, doing the residential tax exemption analysis. And make sure that it's noted in your next draft of where that addition is. So, and then hopefully in 2 weeks as well, I will have at least a first project draft, so you can see kind of what the additional documents and content will look like, so you can really get a grasp of it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we will put that on for the first.
Thank you.
Board, committee, commission appointments. There's two tonight, but I have a motion to appoint the Conservation Commission, Andrew Miano.
So moved.
A second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, sorry, my bad. Ben,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I. And the Ramsdale Building
Thanks, Andrew.
Committee. What's that?
Andrew's here, thanks.
Oh, hello, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Yep.
Appointment to the Ramsdale Building Committee, Stephen Larkin.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
Next is just a formality, suspension of daytime parking limits in downtown, well, I think it's formality, in downtown Great Barrington from November 27th, 2025 through January 1st, 2026. We do this every year for the downtown merchants. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I make a motion to suspend the daytime parking limits in downtown Great Barrington from November 27th, 2025 through January 1st, 2026.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Holiday displays on town property request. There was a request to decorate the Cottage Street Bridge for the December holidays. Who's here for this? Come on. You just state your name and address. It's not amplification.
Redmond Simmons, 1 Haley Road. May I ask who's turning the film strip tonight?
Go up.
Who's turning the film strip tonight?
What's that mean?
We have a PDF.
Oh,
Usually you have to give us time ahead of time to do a PDF, so.
Well, we submitted it last week.
It's in the packet, right?
It's in the packet.
I could.
You wanna pull it up, Chris? Thank you.
Give me a second.
Yep.
Again, I'm Redbeard Simmons, 1 Haley Road. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my Great Barrington neighbors, Beverly Hostakala at 41 Berkshire Heights and Sharon Gregory at 32 Holland. For several years, we have wanted to spruce up the Cottage Street Bridge due to its central location and its captivating views of the Housatonic River. Since it closed to vehicular traffic in 2019, it has unfortunately come to resemble a border crossing at best, or at worst, a prison entrance. Because no one knows if or when it will reopen to traffic, we see potential for a pedestrian bridge extending from Stanley Park on the northeast side of Main Street. It would be a community project costing the town of Great Barrington nothing but oversight. Last month, we volunteered to decorate the Cottage Street Bridge for the holidays, running from Thanksgiving week through New Year's. We have enough garlands and wreaths to deck both sides of the bridge thanks to a generous donation from Mrs. Bobby Howard. They'll be fastened to the bridge railing with green zip ties. We've received additional contributions of bows, jingle bells, and solar rope lighting from the community. To our great delight, Berkshire Mountain Distillers has donated 6 half-barrel planters to help camouflage the concrete graffiti magnets blocking both sides of the bridge. And Seacock, Windy Hill, and Ward's Nurseries have all donated trees to put in them. The trees will be decorated with additional, and might I add, secular solar string lights. During the holidays, we implore our neighbors to regard the pavement in front of those blocks as a loading zone only. We request permission to leave the barrels in place until spring. Next year, we propose turning the Cottage Street Bridge into a flower bridge during the spring and summer months by installing up to 75 flower boxes on each side of the bridge. These plastic flower boxes are 17 inches long and come in 3 colors, black, teal, and terracotta. They also come with removable drip pans to minimize runoff. These particular flower boxes have custom metal clasps that fasten onto metal rails. They can be removed for cleaning or rearranged to allow for additional flower boxes. We also plan to repurpose the half barrels by planting flowering vines that will climb the chain link fencing behind the concrete blocks. We envision a flower bridge that will be maintained and governed 100% by volunteers from the community. In other words, it does take a village. Operating months will extend from May to October. For watering, we request permission to place additional barrels along the bridge sidewalks. Perhaps it would be possible to set up a bucket pulley hoist for dipping into the river. In closing, we would like to share photos for inspiration, not from the massive 400-foot bridge of flowers in Shelburne Falls, but from the 180-foot Old Drake Hill Flower Bridge in Simsbury, Connecticut. For matters of scale, the Cottage Street Bridge is 120 feet long, rail to rail. 30 years ago, this one-lane neighborhood bridge in Simsbury was closed to vehicular traffic. A few years later, volunteers from the surrounding neighborhood placed flower boxes on the rusty, rickety bridge rails. In time, they added a drip system, hanging baskets, and a greenhouse. The pedestrian bridge became a gathering spot for river gazers, buskers, and dedication ceremonies. Dozens of neighborhood volunteers planted, watered, deadheaded, and replaced the flower boxes every summer. Then they decorated the bridge for the holidays. During COVID, their flower bridge shut down for vigorous remodeling made possible by large donations from the community members who had cabin fever. It reopened this year, repainted and reflanked with custom-made flower boxes bearing memorial and dedication plaques. They even added a park on one side of the bridge for expanded gatherings like arts and crafts fairs and music concerts. The parallels to the Cottage Street Bridge are apparent. Our bridge could use a makeover. Businesses on the north end of Main Street could benefit from increased foot traffic. In short, a Cottage Street flower bridge could be the link between downtown development and east side culture. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you to everyone who has contributed their time, materials, and support.
Thank you, Donald. Any questions from the select board?
For the second obvious question is have we consulted with our DOT, our DPW about whether or not this increased activity is okay, given the status of the bridge?
We have inquired, for instance, on the bridge weight limits. We have not heard a response yet.
So we could make a motion to approve with a condition that it's approved by the DOT.
Is that, how does that work for you?
Well, we plan to start decorating next week. So,
So in DOT time, that probably doesn't work.
Yeah, if I may,
Yeah, of course.
the bridge is condemned. So I do have, and my job is to let you know just the realities of things. I do have concerns about how successful actually you are turns this into an Instagram moment. I've seen it happen many times where it's a benefit to, just to beautify something, and then it turns into mayhem where you can't even control the traffic and the amount of people, and it becomes a hotspot, which is a good success to have, right? You want attention, you want people to draw attention to beautify the item, so, but again, right now, the condition of it is not meant to have people congregate there. It is just to stay on the outside of the sidewalks and not be in the center. The conditions of the road, there's some liabilities that I am concerned about. That if we allow it, then what does it fall back on the town if there is an injury of some sort? There may be a compromise as far as the barriers on the outside for the time being, that then we can work on the spraying and what does that look like if there's even some CPC opportunities or any types of grant opportunities that we could look at working towards creating, like, what does this look like for the future? Yeah.
But right now, we have unlimited pedestrian access to the bridge, right?
For the most part, it really should be shut down just to the sidewalks, but I have received confirmation that Mass DOT did condemn the bridge, that's why it's shut down from vehicle traffic. So,
My memory may be poor and Liz wasn't here, and maybe someone on will remember. I think there was a proposal to put like picnic tables on it in the DOT. Didn't they say absolutely not? Yeah. Yeah, so I think decorating is one thing. I think it's a great idea. I think encouraging people to be on it is a whole nother problem.
we're not there yet, like, if this is what the plan for the future of the bridge is to actually create it into an area where people can have those beautiful vistas and exactly what you're describing, and have this beautiful footbridge, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. I can't confidently tell you that we're there at that point yet, as far as liability purposes.
It should, is that bridge not being rebuilt, It's past due, supposed to be built.
Past due, it's still on the list, it hasn't come up though.
So with that, I don't see how that would be a problem if the bridge goes up and we have to decorate with flowers, that shouldn't be an issue.
The problem is that,
We don't know if the DOT can.
well, no, the problem has nothing to do with the build that bridge. It has to do whether it's safe for people to be on it to decorate. And if it's decorated as nice as it looks and people start to congregate on it, what's the liability?
Yeah.
So
I just throw in something, it is a bridge. And I
it's a
don't think-
condemned bridge.
Right. This is true. But I
Yeah.
got a funny feeling, if 20 people are on that bridge, it's not going down.
Right.
That's just my, I mean, it's a bridge, it's condemned for vehicles, not condemned for people.
Yeah, I guess, I understand the concern that, this has brought to us, and I have not walked over that bridge in some time, and so I can't speak to the sturdiness of the railings or anything else, but I guess, I mean, it's hard to not envision what you're seeing here, and that's a great idea. I guess if we could do, my suggestion would be maybe we can do it in phases, you know, and start this year with just decorating where it is blocked off in the front and sides on either side of the bridge. And then maybe next year after this is more settled in, we do a little more research and find out, maybe we can expand on it then. But I do understand the concern there. I do appreciate the effort that you put just in this, let alone getting people involved, but I think as the select board and town staff, we gotta do a little more research on this to just make sure liabilities are covered.
You know, I would be comfortable with what you just proposed, with the condition that if the DOT by some stretch of our imagination signs off on it.
Yeah.
They don't have to come back to us.
Yeah.
As you know, the town staff and now lets them know that it's okay to do. So if we can get the DOT to say, yeah, that's fine, and there may be conditions, that maybe you can decorate it, but it's not open for gatherings, which is fine, it'll look nice and, I mean, it's, so I would say that that would be best, is that the entrance, both entrances can be decorated,
Yeah.
and if DOT signs off on it, you can do the whole bridge, that would be wonderful.
Can we decorate on the outside of it, even on the whole bridge on the outside? With the fences on it, if you will? that
Yeah,
blocks
that's
it?
on the entrance, both entrance ways. Yeah.
Right, I'm thinking answer something at the end, right, okay, yep.
How soon would we get feedback from the DOT?
It's the state DOT. Tomorrow or 2 years from now. We can't, the only thing I can say is they've always been receptive to us, so that. If we rush them too much, it's more likely, as with any state agency with liability, they're just gonna say no. So if we give them a little time, even if it's just a couple weeks to research it, it may be better. So, you know, we could say we need to know by next Wednesday, and they may just say out of liability, say, we're not gonna be able to tell you, so please don't.
Okay,
We don't wanna do that.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, we might withdraw this proposal under those circumstances because we've received contributions to put on the bridge, and we made assurances to those people that we would use them and they would be thanked. So
None of that for years on both entrances, there's just too much for that, cause that would look nice.
yeah, no,
You need to come up there and you know the rules.
we have 250 feet of garlands, so that's not gonna fit on the chain.
Do you want us to at least put a request into the DOT?
I don't think it could hurt.
Can I just add to some?
Sure, just state your name and that.
Sharon Gregory, 32 Hollenbeck. The heavy things, the three, with the barrels on each side and the trees will be off the bridge.
Yes, that's,
So the only thing we would be putting is stringing the garlands, which is not heavy, and lights on each side of the rail. So that's pretty much it. And we don't plan any parties or anything like that, so, you know, we can put a sign or something. But maybe what your concern is more like in the spring when more things happen, and what we could do is if we could just do this part of the holiday thing and just wait to hear from you all. You know, so that, you know, throw all the hundreds of garlands and, you know, lights that we bought,
we're we're all in favor of it, so I think our best thing to do is put a request into the DOT, just as you just said. We're not planning to put anything heavy on the bridge, it's gonna be on the outside of Gilbert Garland. And let's hope that they say yes, because it's beautiful, it's a great idea. Unfortunately, we do have to get their permission because it's a condemned bridge. There's a liability to it, as I know you can understand, but let's just let the state say,
Yeah.
yeah.
It may be
So-
as simple as a sign saying,
Yeah.
cross at
Yeah.
your own risk.
Is there?
Turn it back.
Yes.
Right, because we need to protect the town and we can't be sued for.
Yeah.
So are we allowing to do the outside right now?
We're gonna make the motion and they can choose not to, but we'll at least
Right.
give you permission if you
Yeah.
change your mind.
I might also add the, these are solar lights, it's not going to be non-pay.
Right,
It's not gonna be that type of foot traffic.
we appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, don't you have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the decorating of the Cottage Street Bridge on each entrance side. While also putting a request into the state DOT for approval of, decorating the whole bridge as proposed.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call then.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Let's hope we can do this, because it's really looks nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
Great.
this would be great.
We all do
Okay, the next is a request from Rabbi Levy Volovic for replacement of electric menorah at the Great Barrington Garden from December first to December 30th. Is anyone here? To make this request? I don't see anyone.
But you know how I feel about it.
No, I don't, but I'm not.
Well, there's not anyone here to represent.
Oh, no, that part, yes, I do.
Okay.
And we're not gonna break it. Till later. Yes, hold on, Eileen, I don't think she's representing. Eileen, go ahead.
Oh, I just wondered, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wondered where the Great Barrington Garden is.
It's actually, it's Castronova Park.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's called Great Barrington.
Okay, we're gonna skip over this one because our policy is to have the person here. Next is a request from Larkin Limited to hang holiday signs from light poles on Railroad Street. Main Street is out of the question because that's controlled by National Grid. And as of right now, they're not allowing anything to be hung on it. We're still trying to get that in writing, so we will approve our poles, which is Railroad Street. So is Travis on the line or here?
Is that? We had those, we had banners on Main Street last year?
Yes, they changed their policy. So we're still trying to get that in writing. Yes. Okay. I don't see anyone here for that either.
Do we know who that first person is?
They need to raise their hand.
Okay.
I'm not unmuting someone who's not identified. Okay, so if someone comes in, we can go back to these two. Okay, next, I'm gonna go back because I think some people are here for it. And I see the person online now, is a review the special permit application and make a recommendation to the planning board. An application from LSE Spinks LLC for commercial scale ground mount solar energy facility in an R2 zone at 53 Van Duzenville Road. So Mike, if you want to introduce yourself and explain the project, please.
Steve, could you do Tim Coon also?
And boom, sure.
Yeah, good evening, members of the select board. I actually have a presentation, but I'm not sure if I needed to share that previously or if we're able to view that tonight.
Chris?
Hi, Mike, Chris Rembold. The select board does have paper copies and electronic copies, but you should be able to share your screen if the chair is okay with that.
That's fine.
Okay.
What have you said? Okay. Boston.
Okay, so let's see if I can get this going here. I'm not sure if I see how to share the screen is the only thing on here.
Have a green share button at the bottom.
Yeah, right in the middle of the bottom row, there should be a green share button.
I think I got it now. Apologize.
There.
Okay, perfect. So tonight, as mentioned, we will be reviewing the proposed solar project at 53 Van Duzenville Road, Great Barrington. So just a brief table of contents here. Gonna go over the Lodestar team for those who aren't familiar with Lodestar. I'm gonna go into the background of the organization. Just gonna reference how we conform with the bylaws here. Go a little bit over the existing conditions and then look at the proposed project overview is the agenda for tonight. Brief overview of the leadership team. We are managed by Jeffrey Masel, Jamie Smith, and Jack Funk. I'm a project developer for Lodestar Energy. And tonight, as mentioned, we also have Tim Kuhn from J.R. Russo and Associates. So jumping down, a bit of an overview of Lodestar Energy. We are a developer, owner, operator of solar and battery storage systems throughout the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Lodestar was started over 11 years ago in 2014, and we have an operating fleet of over 100 megawatts of solar to date. Historically, Lodestar has owned and operated the majority of its plants, which includes the existing project in Great Barrington located at 671 Stockbridge Road, which was actually developed back in 2019. So next, just want to kind of run through, and this is part of the application, but generally just how we conform with the town bylaws here. So the site is located in the R2 zoning district, conforms with all setbacks, lot coverage, and height restrictions. The visual impacts, the site will utilize existing vegetation wherever possible and will maintain at least a minimum vegetation of 50 feet. Auditory impact. So once we look at the proposed site plan, this will probably make a bit more sense, but we are utilizing a central location for most of the equipment, which is going to be the 17 total inverters, the battery storage component, and the transformers. The closest adjacent western abutting property line and closest residence along Van Duzenville Road are both greater than 500 feet away, just to note. The project only generates sound during the daytime when the inverters are active. So you can think of at sunset, when the project shuts down, there will not be any operating equipment on the site. The inverters are fan cooled, and with the sound specs from the SMA inverter database spec sheet, which I'm happy to send around, are roughly 20 to 22 decibels from a distance of 150 meters or 500 feet, which is equivalent to rural nighttime ambient noise, which typically falls in the range between 28 and 35 decibels. A little bit on the land clearing and impact. So the cuts and fills at the site, and I'm going to let Tim Kuhn speak to this a little bit later, but generally some numbers. The cuts and fills at the site are proposed to reduce some of the existing steeper slopes within the array area to conform to a less than 15% slope and eliminate existing piles and depressions. The overall area to be graded consists of approximately 4 acres. These cuts and fills will be associated with moving of approximately 5,600 cubic yards existing material in the localized areas of the site. No material is anticipated to be imported or exported other than perhaps suitable gravel for the extension of the gravel access road. And then just a note, during construction, all soil erosion and sediment control measures will be implemented in accordance with state and local stormwater requirements. Just to round out, there will be no permanent lighting, and the site is not located on any agricultural prime land. And lastly, the utility pole locations run underground wherever possible. we can note that later. We actually have revised the utility pole locations, but can look at that on the proposed site plan as well. So generally, just to go over the existing conditions of the site, it consists of a mix of open land, light vegetation, older residential and barn structures. The site has historically been used for farming, and decades ago, a portion of the adjacent parcels were used as gravel pits. Today, there is no active commercial or industrial use, and our phase one, which was completed back in May of 2025, found no visible environmental concerns such as spills or stressed vegetation. Because the land is gently sloped, largely opened, and outside sensitive natural resource areas, we feel it is a great fit for low-impact solar projects. Construction will be shallow and light with no blasting or major earthwork. Again, we'll get to this, the driven screws will be the only major impact to the ground during construction. The plan is to also produce and complete routine subsurface testing, which will include geotech investigation and report, which is to follow in the next few months. So this is just a general view of the proposed plans. This is actually not what was submitted to the town, as it was a bit hard to show on the presentation here, but generally just hitting some site plan highlights, and then I can turn it over to Tim, or we can go to the select board with any specific questions. Just some highlights. The limit of disturbance is going to be roughly 12 acres. It will be a fixed tilt racking system. Project size will be 2.5 megawatts AC, 3.6 megawatts DC. We will utilize TerraSmart ground screws, so it won't be driven piles, it will actually be screws. 17 SMA inverters and 1 Tesla Megapack AC coupled battery storage system. So with that, we can either jump to questions, or if we want to look at what was submitted, like I mentioned, Tim Kuhn, the engineer of records, on as well. So we're happy to answer any questions the board.
If you want it, Tim, go ahead. I'm gonna allow some public comment and then the select board comment. I'm gonna treat this a little bit like a public hearing.
Okay. If you would like, I can share my screen, which shows the site plan. It's essentially just a little more detailed than what Mike was showing.
Yeah, if you want to briefly show that, that would be great.
I can pull that up too, Tim, if it's easier, but let me know.
No, I think I got it.
Okay.
Sorry,
Sure.
Steve, could we clarify a process point?
Yep.
So just to clarify, my understanding is that we're only making a recommendation to the planning
Correct.
board. The planning board will have a separate public hearing
Correct.
and a separate approval process.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is only a recommending body.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm assuming you can all see the site plan. All right, so as Mike mentioned, the property is at 53 Van Duzenville Road. And as he mentioned, we are looking to develop approximately 12 acres of the western portion, or the rear portion furthest away from Van Duzenville Road, with the solar array. We will be utilizing an existing gravel access road, which runs along the northern, actually it's through an easement up to the north of the property, then comes back onto the property. And we will be extending that driveway down into the area where we will have a hammerhead turnaround for any equipment or emergency equipment, as well as the equipment and the battery storage down at that end. We'll be surrounded by a security chain link fence. As Mike mentioned, there's some grading just to pretty much take out some pits and mounds that were kind of left over by the gravel operation, and to make sure that everything is less than 15% slope. There are some areas, for example, right through here, which there are some pretty steep slope faces, which we're just going to avoid altogether, so that we don't have to have to mess with those and create any additional grading, cuts and fills. Really, I think, yeah, Mike pretty much went through the rest of it. I don't really have much else to add other than, yeah, we're going to be running our power back out along that access road to the interconnection, which would be at the point of entrance here at Van Duzenville Road. So other than that, be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, what we're gonna do, and Phil's correct, we're only a recommending body, but there are some people who asked to speak, and I will allow people to speak before we ask questions. So, I asked you to keep it 3 minutes or less. We're only recommending, this is not a public hearing. So anyone, Michelle, you wanna go first, you're right?
I have a written statement. I apologize, Chair. I didn't realize you were limiting it to 3 minutes.
That's fine.
First off, this is a huge commercial project. Where it's supposed to be located is the R2 zone. R2 zone is residential. This is commercial. Right off the bat, that raised a red flag for me. This is not a commercial area. Great Barrington should be striving to maintain the integrity of our R2 zones for residential purposes. My experience, in cases where exceptions have been made, businesses proceed with their activities of their own accord. The town of Great Barrington itself has admitted that enforcement is difficult. Until the town of Great Barrington gets a hold on enforcement at any level, a project such as this should not be recommended by the Selectboard. This is a very large scale commercial venture, 12 acres, which is, in my opinion, not suitable for the Van Duzenville Road area. It is my position that it is time to restore this area to the residential neighborhood it once was, which also included farmland. There are existing solar projects in Housatonic. There's a project in Risingdale, which was presented by Mr. Kurt Malin, which is now Altus. And there's an active complaint before the Board of Health right now regarding noise emanating from that solar project. Which is ironic, several years ago, I actually walked the site with Mr. Malin and the planning board. And I'm very sensitive to noise. I get migraines, that sort of thing. Oh no, it's in a bowl. It's down a bank, it's in a bowl. Those banks will buffer anything. Trust me, it doesn't, as is presented by the citizen who's right next to it right now. So you may want to look at that before recommending. There's another solar project off of Van Duzenville Road. And that was another Kurt Malin project. During the construction of this project ran 7 days a week, including Sundays, all day. Incessant hammering as the panels were installed all day long. I even have a recording of it. Now, I actually complained on multiple occasions to Mr. Malin, to the lead engineer of the select board, as well as the building inspector. Nothing was done. I guess, you know, if you're going to recommend a project like this, and again, the public hearing at the planning board, there should be some restriction on construction hours. Because again, this is a residential neighborhood. These companies, and this particular one's from Hartford, come into our community from anywhere, disrupt our neighborhoods, then move on, leaving the residents to deal with the aftermath. And if there is a serious problem, as in the case on Park Street, these companies can pay a lot of money for lawyers, while most of us, especially in Housatonic, cannot. Is this why Housatonic is targeted due to its status of being economically disadvantaged? Or is it just because they think we're a path of least resistance? I sit in meeting after meeting, and although solar is a priority, is an initiative, today there's different initiatives. Affordable housing, and now there's an initiative regarding open space. So here's a novel idea. How about housing for our community in this R2 already residential zone? Also, it's open space. We're running the initiative on open space. Why not preserve it as open space? I have many concerns regarding this very large commercial project. It is my position that Great Barrington is ill prepared to oversee a project of this scope and size, especially in a designated R2 residential zone. Additionally, the packet was just updated this afternoon, and if any select board member, not to mention any interested citizens, did not have sufficient time to review the new contents, I believe this matter should be continued as to the recommendation by this board. Great Barrington's track record with such project is, in my opinion, in the needs improvement category. And many times, our neighborhood residents bear the consequences of these town decisions. Let's hit the pause button and make an effort to lift up our residential neighborhoods in Housatonic, not make matters worse. Thank you.
Who else?
Hi, Donna Jacobs, 260 Park Street. I'm so sorry, I couldn't really see where this is located on Van Dusenville Road, but I do live across the street from 12 acres of solar panels that were put in since I moved into my home at 260 Park Street. I'm not the citizen who's complaining about noise. I didn't know there was an official complaint, but there is a lot of noise. And the construction period was very noisy with the trucks that go beep beep backwards and just went on and on and on for months. More than the noise, the inconvenience to me and a few of these other older homes that don't seem to be very valuable anymore, or as valuable even as the open space or the rural sense of this community. I wonder if we drive up or down Van Dusenville Road, what is the vista now compared to what it's going to be? It's described as open land and forest. And we want to wreck it and put up a parking lot? Please, Housatonic has absorbed enough solar panel development to fuel or electrify Long Meadow and beyond. Why must it be us yet again? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak?
Like Craig Bailey, 37 Van Dusenville Road. I'm asking you to not recommend this. You see, this is not a low impact project like he's telling us. This is 12 acres. And it's not just the neighbors are getting impacted, this is gonna be, the whole town's getting impacted by the size of this project. It's not small. You'll see it go down the road. He's not gonna lie to us and tell you, you're not gonna see it. This is the whole hill go down that Dusenville Road. This can be clear cut and solar panels. I've talked to all my neighbors so far and no one's happy with this project. A lot of them couldn't be here because we didn't have notice of this happening. I don't know why we weren't notified this was gonna happen.
This is not a public hearing.
Well, this project was for the 11th we were told about. No one knew that we'd come here and talk to you today and ask you not to recommend this. But a lot of my neighbors I've talked to so far are very against this project. And we'll be here the 11th, but I'm just asking you to not recommend this project. This is too big of a scale. In a residential R2, which should eliminate this process, you know, we shouldn't be talking. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's,
Anyone else? Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Got it?
I
Just state your name and address for the record.
John Breasted, 151 Christian Hill Road. I just need orientation about where this map is located, what tract of land this is portraying. The map is on the screen. And are the hatched lines at the northeast corner the 4 acres that the spokesman was talking about earlier?
4 acres.
So, yeah, this is, right where like, Amerigas is on that corner. There's a long driveway that I believe this one I was talking about that goes into the back. And then, I don't know about the 4 acres. This plan here with the hash marks is showing 12 acres of solar fields. I guess I'm not sure if I.
Yeah, I'm not sure what 4 acres you're referring to, Tom.
Well, there's this cutoff section there.
Can we not have talk in the back, please, because it's really hard to concentrate. Thank you.
There's a section of white space there. Is that an open space? For that corner, and then all the rest of it, the much bigger portion of the mapped area. Is that existing solar development, or is that part of this project?
part of this project, is the way I'm reading it. The existing solar fields would be behind it.
On the north side,
On
yeah.
the north side of that,
It'd be on top of that.
on top of the screen,
On
yeah.
top of the screen.
So where is this proposed solar development fit geographically in relation to the one that's visible from Route 183 about below just a few hundred yards or maybe half a mile south of the rising pond? There's one you can see at a low elevation, that's been there for years.
Yes,
Is that a whole separate development?
yes.
That's across the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on up.
Thomas O'Leary, 41 Van Dusenville Road. This is literally my backyard. This way to you.
Thank you.
And Bill Bailey, who's that, 37 Van Dusen for 35 Van Dusenville Road. As everybody else already spoken, but this is R2. And this also includes a hill that it's not like some of these other ones that you see are in existence, either across the street from my house or a little lower. And they said they're gonna put screenage up and not see, this one on the hill you're gonna see. There's no hiding this one. It's in R2, I just, the curve that we think about. I mean, the whole Van Dusenville Road's gonna be a solar farm.
Right.
Hi, Jennifer Shumsky, 5 Deer Trail Road. We got a couple calls last night at 9 o'clock, or that people were unable to attend today. Said, hey, do you know, we live off the North Plain Road, but these people that live here on Van Dusenville, they are just inundated with solar. I think we have enough in the town of Great Barrington, or maybe there's another area. This is a very big project. People were not able to come to a 5 o'clock meeting that work out of town. So we said that we would come. I just encourage the select board to not encourage us to go forward. Housatonic has been through a lot the last couple of years. And I just think that all of a sudden, yes, we have several second homeowners on our street. They live out of town. They're like, did you know this was going on? I think we need to slow our roll. I think we need to not recommend this to go forward. And this is a much bigger project. Originally, I heard it was 4 acres. Now I'm hearing it's 12. This is a lot. And the people in Housatonic need to be heard. Thank you.
Also discourage you from applying. I haven't done that so far.
We applaud for you.
Street. I think if you're gonna recommend this to the board, then you are telling the residents that you don't really care about their values. And we already had Fulton come in here, there were residents that put up over $10,000 to protect the neighborhood. We don't need this. We're done. Housatonic is done with being the armpit of Great Barrington. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, select board.
Go ahead. I have a couple of questions. Just to clarify, so I don't know if the Lodestar fellow's still on, but
Of course, yes.
so your firm is the one behind the fairgrounds installation, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
In your information, there's a mention of sound and noise standards. And it says a sound analysis will be provided if required, demonstrating that noise levels at all abutting residential properties will not exceed existing ambient background sound levels. So the easy part is that it should be provided if this thing goes forward, but I guess I'm noting this other property other field where there's been complaints about noise. So on the one hand, your materials really talk about the noise being insignificant. And while this other property is obviously has generated significant complaints about the noise. So those two things don't seem very consistent. I wonder if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, no, I would just double down on what was mentioned in the application, that I think it would prove us helpful if we provided a noise study as opposed to just the narrative in the application, so we can all point to an official sound study, which we have a proposal for. Likely going to move forward with that just to provide a little more data to the proposed project here. I think is our next step.
Now, we've had a lot of abutters attending the meeting from the Van Duzenville side, but we had, unless I'm missing it, we've had no one here from the Egremont Plain Route 41 on the other side. I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Your trail.
So about the meeting.
Yeah, and as I found out, we're only a recommending
Right.
body, so we don't notify,
Okay.
only special permits get notified, so.
I understand.
I wouldn't use the.
Okay,
who's here.
and never rely on me for geography. I'm sorry if I got that. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
But the, you know, the, on the 41 side, you know, we have the plot, you know, we have the houses along the road, mostly towards the road. Then there'll be relatively long rectangle properties, and you'll have wooded area, and then the property line that's proposed here. So I'm just trying to understand, you know, your property is all your property. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, but, you know, is it when this plan was put together, how much consideration was there of the, you know, the sound drifting towards the 41 side onto the abutting properties, you know, on that side of the road where there's more, the residences are, you know, fully abutting, you know, the proposed installation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, you know, that is going to get clarified within the sound study. I think, in our
Sorry, and
opinion,
a related question is
Sure.
that, can you clarify the distance between the actual panel installation on the 41 side of the property, the left-hand side of the survey, and the property lines of the abutters?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tackle those in two pieces if you don't mind. So I guess the first question, the consideration to the abutters. As mentioned, the equipment pad with the transformer, battery storage, and inverters are going to be what is going to emit any sort of sound on the project. So that's going to be up near the K-turn, up near the entrance, which Tim is highlighting right now. As mentioned, the location from that equipment pad to the western abutting line of our property, that is what is measured as 500 feet. So if we look at the abutters to the west of that on 41, that is well over, you know, almost double that. I would estimate it closer to, and I can actually get a length here. I'm getting closer to 1,000 feet from the abutting residence structure to that property line. So again, understand it is on a hill. There has been the sensitivity around the Park Street project. There is existing vegetation there, which should muffle some of the sound, but I think that is where it would be helpful to have this sound study evaluate from all those abutters properties, and we can speak to more data. And then could you refresh me on the second question?
No, I think, again, I think you answered that question.
Okay, understood.
So I'm sorry, just to clarify, so you're saying, your view is that no noise will be emanated from the panels. The noise is only coming from the transformers that are a little further away.
Correct. The panels are not moving. They're stationary throughout the year. They're not tracking as some projects do. They're fixed tilt. So in our opinion, and the sound study will show this as well, there's only sound coming from that equipment pad area.
The inverters make this. Not panels.
Okay, Garfield.
I'm also gonna have batteries in it.
Yeah, that's okay. let's move ahead.
First of all, I have to agree with the Housatonic residents. I don't think it's really needed. And I've yet to hear anyone from your side say how terrific this is gonna be, what it's gonna do for the community, et cetera. You have not expounded on the purpose of this and what it's gonna do. And since I haven't heard that, I'm not excited about it, your project, and I would not personally recommend it.
Eileen, do you have a question of process? Because it's now select board time.
Yeah, when is the hearing on this?
December 11.
December? I'm sorry,
11.
December 11, at what time? 6?
I have that.
Michelle's acting as. I'm not supposed to take information from the audience, but I believe it, so. Yes, it's 6 o'clock.
Thanks.
Chris beat you to it, Michelle.
What's that?
Chris beat you to it, 6
Oh,
o'clock.
of course he did.
Okay, Phil.
Yeah, so Garfield beat me to a relevant question. I am trying to figure out like what is the benefit for the town having this field here? I'm guessing that I took a look at its current assessment. And I'm just generally asking the group, is the potential benefit to the town that this will be assessed at a much higher value and therefore generate tax revenue? Is that accurate?
Could.
It could.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm
Yeah, go
allowed
ahead.
to jump in, I mean, I would say that typically a large benefit to these projects, right, are the consistent tax revenue that these projects provide. So in the past, we've worked out pilots with other towns. Otherwise, generally, we can look at the equipment as an upgrade to personal property. And it would, in my opinion, get taxed at a higher valuation, which would equal more consistent tax revenue for the town.
So my answer is, I'm sure he's correct on that, is what's the trade-off for more tax revenue? We can always use more tax revenue, no one's gonna argue that.
Well, that-
But-
Yeah.
No, we're done. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. We listened to you, you just listened to us, it's okay. But we can always use more tax revenue, but at what cost?
No, I agree. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand.
No, I get it.
Okay.
I'm just giving my side of
Okay,
special
great.
permits, which I'm very glad we're not the special permit granting authority, although I know how I would vote on this, are in name special permits. They're not by right, and there has to be a reason for the granting authority to approve it.
Yeah.
And Phil, you've already pointed that out tonight. I haven't heard from him.
Right, and this issue of it being an R2 zone, I mean, I looked at the zoning bylaw, it just wasn't clear to me either way if this is on its face, either permitted or not permitted. And do you have I don't want
Chris,
to.
can answer that, it's an R2 zone, so it wouldn't be a special permit.
Because it's in an R2 zone, it requires a special.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't come before us if it wasn't a special.
I
know that sounds simplistic, but that's.
No, I just
how I
clarify
think.
that, yeah.
So, anyone else from the board, and then do I have a motion?
I-
Now, we have two choices, I need to be clear, we have more than two, we can make a recommendation or not make a recommendation. Or we can also move this, because we have a meeting on the 1st. I know my choice is to vote tonight, I've made up my mind. So it's up to the board if I would have a motion, if there's no other questions or comments.
I got just a couple of questions,
Yeah, of course.
to ask here of the guys. So, in some of your paperwork, it said no signs of recent dumping. I guess I'm just curious if you can elaborate on that. What? I know. It was
Yeah, so
gravel
that
bed.
would be in relation to the previous use of the site, which was used as a gravel pit and dumping ground. So
Yeah.
it was a DEP consent order, early 2000s. And what we have done since then is we have done a phase 1, as mentioned in May, which shows basically there's no wrecks or hazardous materials from their findings on the site.
Yeah. And then what is the decimal levels if I was, within 50 feet or 100 feet of the batteries pack and all that? In the
I would have
paperwork, it
to.
shows what it is, 500 feet away, but it doesn't say if you're close to it. There's amongst other things, a trailhead and other people. So just curious what the decimal is if you're. close
Yeah,
to
if
it.
you're right next to it, my understanding is that it would be closer to around 65 decibels.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, yeah, sometimes we, being an electrician, I deal with solar quite a bit, but it's, I have this issue with clearing land to put solar fields out and, my general view, not that, I guess some people are asking, is that solar panels do best when they're on roof lines and they're incorporated into downtowns and on old mill buildings. And parking lots and things like that. I have a hard time with clearing property, whether it's near neighbors or out in the middle of nowhere, to put these in. I do know there's one very close to it, it's like 10, 12 years old. We'll see what happens to it when the 20 years expires and they have to do something to it. But I'm all for green energy. I'm all for more electrical work for everybody. I'm not for clearing land and pulling special permits for this application, I guess.
You want to make a motion?
Let me just maybe reiterate
Yeah, of course.
again, we've yet to say what the purpose is, and Bill kind of directly asked you, had no answer for that. And I agree with Eric about that, and I think, food science have enough. I don't think it's necessary, I don't think, and again, you have not pointed out the super values, what it's gonna do, so. I say, myself, I have my mind made up.
And
Yeah.
I guess oh, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Oh, no, just to kind of, I mean, I guess point of order, Steve, are we going to be discussing once we make the motion to vote one way or the other, right? This is just questions. Yeah. I mean, I think it feels like we're all kind of coming towards the same point. So I almost feel like I'm comfortable taking the vote on whether or not to recommend tonight. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I would like to make a motion to not approve this, not recommend this, special permit to the planning board. I would also like to just attach, our concerns. One being, the abundance of solar already in the area, the, construction, noise situation that, limiting the work times and a lot of sound issues. And I'd also like to point out about the Board of Health hearing that's going on now. So I would like to be those and Garfield's statements all put forward with a no recommendation.
You have a second.
Second.
And now discussion, I think we've had a lot, but Ben, do you have anything else you want to add?
I mean, just that I agree with everything that's been said by the board and by the members of the audience. And I thank everyone for coming tonight. I think just even I know the need for environmental sustainability. I think putting aside some of the other worries, just it's been too much in this one area. Like we need to look beyond, like just converting this corridor of Housatonic into the solar field of Great Barrington. Just we need to stop. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Anyone else? Take a roll call vote, Ben.
Aye. Yeah, aye.
Aye, this is a negative recommendation.
Yeah, I know.
so
I did
not-
yeah.
Correct, yes. Yes.
Aye.
Garfield, aye. Aye. And aye, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No
You don't get it off.
I never get it.
Never, right? Get it off, man, never.
Okay, moving ahead. Green Center Future, a discussion of possible vote to direct the town manager to send a letter of concern to the president, CEO, Diana. Whatever her life, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong. The Green Center announced that they were closing their only center of anyone in South County for mental health. And that's really important because South County seems to take the brunt of things, and losing a service like that is just huge. Garfield, you brought it up. Do you want to say anything?
Yes, I just think it's very important that we have all surrounding towns that are also going to depend on us. Egremont, et cetera, they don't have it, so we need to keep them here. And I also think that if it's possible, and I did speak with Liz about it, I don't know if we can use our free cash or the cash we have left from the CCC to make some adjustments. I guess what I'm hearing, if I've heard correctly, that the building is just too large. So I don't know if there's something we can go in with our monies that we have left over.
We don't have.
Any. I know we had like $700,000 or $700,000.
No, there was a court ruling and no, we don't have money left over. It would have to go through town meeting. Anyways, the money for the, that you're referring to is, we've spent some of it, and then through court, it's either encumbered for other places or it's been returned. So there's no money.
Discouraging. We still need, if I just finish, we still need to keep it. We still need to see what we can do. We still need to work with Green Center and see what we can do.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we in fact know it's the only resource in our general area?
There are individual practitioners who are in Rock County, but it was a very large source for many, many people.
Well, has anyone spoken to them about their decision? Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah.
it is a state decision. I believe the state is closing a bunch of facilities, so this is state led.
State-led.
Yes, I believe so. It's happening across the state.
Right, well, there's obviously less funding for it in general, but I realized, I thought the Green Center was just deciding that since they're getting less financial support, that they're gonna make this decision. I mean, that's sort of same thing at the end of the day, but anyway, I guess instead of in lieu of a letter, I'm just wondering if I could suggest just Liz give them a call and say, generally speaking, is there something we could do to help change this outcome? We're not sitting here with a pile of money looking that we're able to commit to you at this point, but is there anything else that could be done? Other than pure financial assistance, which I don't think we're in a position to offer.
The building the decision's already been made to close it. So you're right. The next part of the conversation actually is remaining active in the dialogue of how services can be retained in the area. So that way, members of our public can remain here and close to their families where their support systems are. So I think that's really the necessary conversation and why this is on the topic for tonight's discussion, so.
And I would say that for many people, though it's a short drive, driving to Pittsfield is not practical, and telehealth is not always effective or practical for a lot of people. Yeah, Garfield, does it?
This kind of reminds me of a bad idea of what was done when they started closing all the mental hospitals and state hospitals, and people just didn't get services, and it got ugly, and it's getting ugly and staying ugly. So now they're gonna want to do something that's almost along the same lines through the whole state, and we know what's gonna happen because it's already happened. So it's a terrible idea to close it. We need to do something.
I guess I would just ask Liz and town staff not only to write a letter to the Green Center, but maybe we can just do a writing campaign to our representatives and everybody up the list, right up to our governor, and express concern about mental health issues in general, because they're haven't gone away since COVID and, only gotten worse. And, we're seeing it on our streets and we need that assistance to stay coming.
I'll take that as a motion if you don't mind.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Repeat
Then we write a letter, we have town, Liz and town staff, write a letter to not only the Breen Center, but all our representatives, all through the state, as far as, our state rep, state senator, and our governor.
And just, I'm sure you already know this, Liz, but we just make sure we're saying that how we are pretty much the hub for the whole South County. And it's very important in South Area.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield. Aye. Eric. Aye. And I, it's unanimous. Okay, I don't see anyone that's come in. So we're gonna table until December 1st the proposed budget calendar and annual town meeting. We're gonna, they're great, but we're gonna look at a few things before we take them up tonight. I just wanna go back and make sure we skipped over a couple of things. I don't think there's anybody here for them now. So I do not see anything, so citizens speak then.
Hi, Donna Jacobs, 260 Park Street. I'm really sorry I missed the town manager's report, but duty, I was on call. I couldn't get away. But I just want to keep the topic alive because I think it's important for people in town to know that we do have a collaboration starting between the Citizens Initiative and the town. We don't know quite exactly how it's gonna work, but I just want people to feel some encouragement that the Houstonic Filter Initiative is forming all kinds of management complexity so that we're bona fide and we can raise funds. So we're continuing to look for a fiscal sponsor, and we are quite active in the survey, which is you can take online, and it populates spreadsheets and charts to tell us what the needs are in Housatonic. So I will be at the Hoosie Dome on Saturday. People can stop by, get that survey going. We have 824 homes to interview, and we've done about 20. So, thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Yeah. Charlie, go right ahead.
Williamson, 48 Blue Hill Road. This probably doesn't affect you, but it does. Just bought a brand new car. And I've gone down to the offices downstairs. And I bought the car on October 29th. And I'm going to be charged the whole month of October excise tax. I never saw this car until the 28th of October. That's 4 weeks into the month. I didn't buy the car until the 29th. So I only had that car 3 days in October. But doing the math, for the 92 days that they're gonna bill me for this year, I only had the car for 64. So 28 days I'm getting taxed for it, that's 44%. Now that's illegal, that's a crime, but that's the state, it's not you guys. I don't know if you can do anything about it, but this is what the reason why we had Bunker Hill in the first place, is government. With computers and everything, they can figure out right to the second when you bought something, not to the month. This is ridiculous. And when I get my bill, I'm gonna look at it. And if it's big enough for me to fight, I'm gonna tell you right up front, I will go to jail, because I will go to a judge and say, how can I be charged for something I didn't even own? I never saw this car until the 28th. And I bought it, on the 29th. And it just, to me, I just wanted to bring it up, see if you guys can do anything about it or give me information, but I just don't believe I'm paying the state any more money than they're already getting. They're getting this whack anyhow. And I've been in this town for 58 years and I've paid all my bills. But this one here, I'm taking it subject to order. Thank you.
I don't want to thanks, Charlie. Don, did you want to speak? Look at her.
Yeah. Getting John arrested, from 151 Christian Hill Road. I'm just appearing here again 2 weeks after I spoke about the concerns the citizens have about ICE detentions in this town and more broadly in South County. Tonight, I said that I would be going to a meeting that last Thursday, November 5th. That's right, yeah. On this subject with the multicultural bridge sort of task force committee, which is continuing to work on proposed revisions to the 2017 trust policy of the town of Great Barrington as passed in town meeting. And I brought another face from that group, so you don't think I'm just a lone wolf on this issue. There were about Mrs. Erica Milky. She's from Housatonic. I want her to take a minute at the mic too. But
She'll go after Claudia.
we're working on it. Our meetings are monthly. And as I said to you last time, our plan is to lobby each one of the select boards separately. That's legal. You're not conferring with each other. You're not having a three person committee meeting with any of us. But we want you to be on board and part of the process of revising this policy. I have had an agenda for 7 years, detailed one, about the process I'd like to see the Board of Selectmen follow in this matter. It's a matter of record, and I think I need to send it to all 5 members of the board and to our town manager. The police chief, just to recap on that, the former police chief, Bill Walsh, got his name right now this time. Said here, in quite a heated discussion on January, I think it was 9th or 14th, 2019, he said, I would like, as police chief, to see, I'm paraphrasing him, to see all stakeholders here, including ICE, or one or more, not necessarily one only, public forum on this issue. And then helping to define what the town's policy should be in response to these federal actions. So, Gwendolyn Van Sant's group, Multicultural Bridge, has not decided on the detailed agenda that I have. But, so I want to make the distinction between my outline of a process that I hope you all will follow eventually, and what the citizens group will be proposing. Of course, I hope to bend them to my will.
Thanks, Tom.
So I want you to have Eric as a face.
Yeah, well, let's go with Claudia first. And then Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Hey, Claudia Shapiro, 78 Egremont Plain Road. So I guess I'm gonna ask you one more time, Steve, you promised to post it July 21st in the August 11th meetings on the town's website.
Are you looking for videos or are you?
The video recordings.
Video, one of them, Chris, can you remind me which one is available on CTSB?
Oh, sorry, now I can't remember, Steve.
One of them is available, one is not available. CTSB did not keep it and we don't have it, but one is available on CTSB. I found it.
Do you mind posting it on the website?
Yeah, we can do that. But if you go to CTSB in the meantime, it is there.
They're on CTSB's website, not,
CTSB's website.
they're not on ours.
They're not on our website, but if you go to CTSB, it is there.
Erica Loki, 360 Park Street, number 5. Yeah, as John mentioned, there's a number of concerned citizens, as there have always been in Great Barrington, about being a welcoming, accepting community. Long before my time being involved in town meetings, there was, there's some verbiage about a proclamation about Great Barrington being a welcoming town. In 2016, when Trump was elected, there was a lot of concern about, local police enforcing ICE deportation issues, and, there was a big initiative largely, started by, Gwendolyn and Bridge, where we pulled together lots of community members, including the police chief, who worked with Gwendolyn around a community trust policy, is what we ended up calling it. This was at a time when lots of towns and cities were passing sanctuary cities laws. That is not the verbiage that we have for our town. It's a, community trust policy around community policing and the idea that it's safer for everybody if the local police are doing what they're intended to do. They're not enforcing immigration policy. It's about making it safer for everyone to feel that they can report and be witnesses to crimes. I mean, there's lots of benefits to how it makes the whole community better. We hashed this all out in 2016 and at a town meeting in 2017, which John referenced. So 2017, it was unanimous, not unanimous, sorry. It was passed overwhelmingly at the town meeting. There was, a big push at the beginning with that makeup of the select board, where police were going through training, cultural competency training, mental health training. There were lots of things that were happening. There were commitments with all town employees to do certain things, and I'm not sure how far that made it. But I guess we're just gonna be coming every meeting to encourage, to keep it on your minds. We want there to be some education around what we already agreed to, what was passed back in 2017. It's still, it's not a town bylaw, but it was passed, and it's something that's kind of fallen to the wayside. And since the ICE issues here in Great Barrington and South County in general, I've heard a lot of newcomers to the area outraged because they're like, but we're a sanctuary town. And so there's kind of misinformation on a lot of sides about what was actually passed. An almost entirely new select board and town manager. So we're just, encouraging us all to look into what was passed, why it was passed. If anyone is interested in helping to some verbiage around like what you would like to see and kind of a revised, we're calling it Trust Policy 2.0. There's some initiative in the county overall to kind of use what we had passed as an example, revamp it, and then try to push for it to happen throughout the county. To make us all safer, specifically around immigrant rights, but there's just a lot of targeted populations that having clear having the role of local police be really clear, and having the sort of training and having kind of buy-in from everybody, including like town, they have the citizen, what was that called?
Citizens Academy.
Thank you, the Citizens Academy. There were 1 or 2 of them, and I think they were super successful, looking to bring those back. So we're not pushing to get on the agenda in the near future. I mean, I think that was something John was working on now. We just want to keep people informed, make sure it's staying on your mind, and know that like after we convene enough people and get input from all the parties, well, we will eventually be requesting it to be on the docket. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, we don't have back and forth discussion. If you want to say something, you go ahead, Carl.
I wanted to say that I believe, and I could be wrong, that being a sanctuary city doesn't give you any privileges. And I believe that the police are just being made aware that they're here, but they aren't allowed to do anything in our town. So I'm not sure where you go.
Yeah, I don't want to get in the back and forth. Maybe that's going to violate the open meeting law. Yeah, Jimmy.
Jim Bailey from Wisconsin. I know many of you are real grateful that I've been absent for a little while.
Not at all.
All right. So just to keep everybody happy. First of all, Garfield, you brought up a couple of good points earlier about tax. What can we do to reduce tax? I would love this select board to put it on the agenda to give a serious consideration to removing the CPA. It's the simplest thing we can do for ourselves. Remove the CPA. It doesn't involve studies. It involves your health. You'll have to excuse me, VA's doing a great job medicating me. They've almost got the dose right, so. You'll have to be excited about that. I'm gonna try not to use any swears or anything.
You never do. Not around those.
So, 2.5 months ago, Steve, I asked you, you remember the question? Why does Great Barrington still own Prosperity Way? You remember the answer? You remember the answer you gave me?
It was in the process.
It was between, back and forth between lawyers.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would like to know why the town of Great Barrington owns Prosperity Way, 6 houses, and a liability incurred. We heard about a frickin' bridge and liability that takes to walk across the bridge. What kind of liability is involved if the town owning 6 homes? And I don't believe for a minute that that was ever proposed, and there's no, the town council was never asked to transfer that deed. Can we find out if town council was ever asked to transfer the deed? This was supposed to have taken place in June, July, the end of August. I contacted you at the end of August and I said, how come Great Barrington still owns it? You were told by the same individual that said the town of Great Barrington is not paying for the foundations. Habitat for Humanity is paying for the foundations. That turned out to be false. You got that information from an individual, the same information that you're getting about who owns and why we own the property. It's time to stop the bullshit and find out the real. It takes a phone call from either you or the town manager, is what I understand, right? Are the only 2 people who can contact town council, is that correct?
That's correct.
5 minutes, Steve, that's all I ask. 5 minutes, and I wanna know why. I don't want another 2 months. I understand my 3 minutes is up, because I'm the only one that's ever afforded just 3 minutes.
I wasn't gonna
And I
say that.
appreciate that.
No, I wasn't gonna say that, Jim.
But we need to find out why, Steve.
Mhm.
And I'm extremely disappointed in what happened after the school vote. While there were many people celebrating victories in a bar room, joyous, there are people in this community deeply upset and worried about how they're gonna pay their fucking taxes.
Let's keep your language, please.
Sorry. So I encourage this board to really give some consideration into ending the CPA. Because I don't think that buying windows and doors for the Cove is as important as somebody's parents, somebody's family getting dinner, meals, electricity. We can end the CPA, and it starts with this board. You wanna help taxes? That's a start, but I would really appreciate finding out within a day or 2 why the town of Great Barrington still owns that property, and if it was ever in the process to begin with.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Michelle, did you speak or no, you didn't speak?
No. That is.
You know, I saw you before, so yes.
First off,
No, she didn't.
no, I will,
You wrote out a previous one.
this is part 2.
Yes.
Michelle LeBear, 70 Division Street. First off, I want to thank the select board tonight. It was, some of the discussion I didn't agree with, some I did, but it was good discussion. So I just, and our new town manager as well, but I have a couple citizen speak issues. One of them is on our website, if there's a pothole or something, you can go on the website and report an issue, which is great if it's really done on the other side, on the town side. Several weeks ago, I went online and I submitted my information. We had microsurfacing on Division Street, work on 183, 2 areas. Van Duzenville Road again, where the Guthrie Center floods. When it rains, big puddles go there. Down at Taft Farms, the same thing happens there. With all the money spent, those two issues were rectified. Now, here's the problem. When it's winter time and you get that slushy snow and it freezes, well, just this morning, I work up in Lenox, I'm going around Guthrie Center, there's a dusting of snow, I fishtail on that. So that has to be looked at. I'm really kind of ticked off that our tax dollars were used, particularly on Division Street, which was a fairly new street, for a process, and it looks great. It's like me slapping foundation on my face. It's not gonna change from my age, okay? So that's what happened. So that needs to be looked at because that's a safety issue. Another issue is Garfield spoke about the various exemptions. Phil did as well, which is great. I've never been a big fan of the deferral because essentially the town of Great Barrington becomes your mortgage holder. And many people, especially when you're a native here, and you're raised a certain way, you don't want to pass on debt to your children. That's the last thing you want to do. Although it's an option, and I think it was during the discussion, if there was a medical crisis and you have no choice, I don't know which one of you said that, when you have no choice and you need some help, it is a safety net. But regarding the residential exemption on houses at a certain price, keep in mind that we have many residents who are house wealthy. They're on fixed incomes, but they bought their houses decades ago, and now those houses have increased in value. And so they may be house wealthy, but they don't have the money to pay the taxes on it. And to penalize them because they contributed to our town for decades, taxes, that's not right either. That brings me to another comment. You did a great job tonight regarding the tax classification hearing. And I don't know if that this was discussed, it came up during the PowerPoint about a split tax rate. I was wondering, many times during meetings, we talk about comparing Great Barrington to other communities, such as the Cape. Has anyone talked to Lenox or Pittsfield about their split tax rate? I happen to work in Lenox, and I gotta tell you, they're having no problem attracting businesses in Lenox. And also the residents are very happy with their town government. And when you look at their taxes, there's a balance there. The residents are being overburdened in Lenox like the residents here in Great Barrington. So I'm just curious if there ever was a reach out to the town of Lenox, which personally because I work for the school district there, I'm talking to the assessor about their split tax rate. Pittsfield, you know, you have the Route 7 corridor there. What's going on there is exploding. You don't hear BMW going, oh, wow, it's a split tax rate. I don't want to start a BMW dealership there. They're there. So something has to be done in Great Barrington. My taxes alone for the new school are going to go up nearly $600. My husband and I, we don't get big salary increases. Together, our income equals sometimes the annual salary of some town employees. And I would kind of like to retire at some point. Right now, that's an impossibility. And to add insult to injury is the CPA and a tax on a tax. That does need to be looked at. Maybe it's time to reduce it. But in any event, something's got to be done. And I think not this year, because you already did your hard work on it, is to also, just like the residential exemption, maybe take a deeper dive into a split tax rate. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Saying no one else, no one online? Select board time, Ben,
Nothing for me.
Phil,
Nothing, thank you.
Garfield,
Yeah.
Eric,
No.
and I have nothing. Media time. Getting nothing in media time. Do I have a motion to go into executive session, not return to open session?
Motion that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL chapter 30A, section 21A6. For the following purpose, consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate regarding Housatonic Waterworks, Because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect on negotiating positions of the board and the town.
Do I have a second? Okay. And again, we will not go into open session. The roll call vote then.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And aye, and that's the only executive session we're going in for. Is that one? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Hey,